Welcome to the Workhorse Podcast. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Kendall, and we are taking today to give you six things for you to do right now in your business. Like right now. Okay, not if you're driving. Don't actually start doing it if you're driving.
Listen to the podcast and then go and do the things.
I highly suggest, though, heading to the show notes because we'll put a little checklist in there for you. So you don't even have to copy this down into the notes app in your phone. Listen to it, then bebop over to the show notes, push and hold, copy paste, and then give yourself your own checklist for it. Because we realized last time we recorded, we've done a half a year of podcasts. And when we started the podcast, that means that we're about halfway through the year, right?
Yes.
June is over. I can't believe June is over. I mean, seriously, where did it go? I blinked this year and it's gone.
I just got the craziest report from our bookkeeper and controller now that we have a controller. And I was like, oh, this is what this is like when you forecast through my next 6 months and give me an exact idea of where we are. So it feels very timely. I've been working through that for the last 2 days.
I would like to golf clap you.
Right?
Because Lord knows I don't have a controller and no one is forecasting anything.
I mean, it's kind of nice. It is kind of nice. I have to say, it's also a little bit like, oh my goodness, when you actually know all of the things. No, it's good. It's just, it's a lot of work. So she sends it to me and then I've got a lot of things I need to do with that information. Otherwise, I'm just paying for a fancy spreadsheet. So
I do love a good spreadsheet though. Okay. So first off, I feel like I have to qualify this one because to me, it feels like I've said this a gajillion billion times over and over and over again. And then I was
People
scrolling.
are still not doing it though.
No, I was scrolling at 11:30 at night. I saw this beautiful flower event. I was so excited. I mean, it was just gorgeous. It was immediately I was going to go buy tickets. Just I don't even know what it was, but there was beautiful flowers and a night in the field with no children. And I was like, purchase now, add to cart, purchase now. And then I thought, man, I ought to figure out where this is at before I commit to buying a ticket and knowing if I can make it there after work or not in time, right? For the event to start. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know how long it took me to find out where this flower farm was located?
This happens all the time, I feel like.
It took me 7 clicks. 7 clicks.
You are NK. I just need to say, for somebody who's listening to this right now, no one is that committed that they are clicking for 7 clicks besides Jess. So if you think, if Jess is willing to click 7 clicks, the rest of the people will be too. No, you are losing me at 2 clicks.
No, because it was only because I was so mad that I couldn't find it.
Oh,
that
so
I was
past. Okay.
Then it was the anchor kicked in and I was like, I am going to figure out where the heck this freaking flower farm is, because then I was really mad. So let's walk
so you
through
were
my
beyond
brain.
You were beyond wanting to purchase, and now you were just challenging to see how long. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So just know that other customers would have just disappeared and that would have been.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If I had just been no business background, no point to this, I would have clicked once and just been oh, I don't even know where this is, so I guess I can't buy tickets. And then I would have gone back to my Explore Me page and I would have just kept scrolling because I couldn't figure it out. And it is always worse too with a little bit of a generic Instagram name.
Yeah.
I don't know, Glow and Bloom or so. It's so generic that you can't tell where it is by the name itself. Then, so I'm on the post, I tap the thing, I want to buy a ticket. I go to the Instagram bio, nothing there. I go to the website, nothing there. I go to the About Me page on the website. I finally find a state that they're in. Spoiler alert, not my state.
Yep.
Crazy how the internet works like that. And then I kept digging and I ended up having to Google the family name in conjunction with the business name. Yeah, I went full detective. Because I was so angry. So, number one, please right now, if you have a business of any sort of business, I don't care if it is the teeny tiniest little side hobby that you do once a year. If you are trying to sell anything on your Instagram or social media, please go to your bio. Please see if your location is in your bio. And I don't just mean the address on Main Street, because guess what? Every town in America has a Main Street. So if you say 242 Main Street, I don't know which Main Street that is. Could be Chihuahua, could be New York, could be some farm town in Illinois. So address, at least city, state. At least city, state.
I'm not full address in my bio, even though I have a storefront. And that is only because in order to have the physical address, like the clickable physical address, I have to have the other type of account on Instagram. I have to have a business, not a creator account. So I just don't have my address that way, but I do have city, province for me. Yeah. And it is 8 million places on my website, including the footer on every single page with the map that is clickable to go over to Google, you know, to give people directions directly to the store. It is literally everywhere.
I don't mind city state. I get that. There's different types of accounts. Not everybody needs, or like maybe you don't physically have people come to your location. Maybe you're like a market pop-up or a delivery service, any number of things. So
give me service area. Give me service area, like continental US. Maybe you ship, because I find that's something that's tough for me is as a Canadian, when I click over, I might really think these like graphic tees are super cute that I saw in a reel, and you don't ship to Canada. So then I'm like, I get it that maybe you're not realizing that. And then I gotta tell you, Jess, that I'm shipping it to your house, and then I forget, and CJ thinks you bought it.
Not everybody has a Canadian friend or has a US friend that will let you ship stuff to them. No, and I don't understand how that gets, like, I would love, listen, guys, as part of my full-time employment, I watch a lot of people teach social media courses that have zero business teaching social media courses to businesses. They know who they are, but they have no experience. And I would like to grab every one of them and shake them for not making this like, when you open your social media, here's what you put in your, you know what I mean? This should be number one. Like, this should be number one. And the assumption that everyone knows, even a particular region, I saw that the other day. It was funky. I didn't recognize what it was, but it was very clearly like a neighborhood name, you know, where it's like not a town name on a map, but it's like everyone refers to it as.
Okay. You know, hang on. Because I might disagree with you on that one.
You can disagree all you want. I'm still right.
You think that having the neighborhood, if it's not like well known beyond the scope of the people that are in that community?
I just think having the neighborhood with the city state. Like, if you want to say, so for example, I don't even know if Hilliard's on a map here, but like everybody in our area knew what Hilliard was and meant. But if I was in Coeur d'Alene or I was new to Spokane, I wouldn't necessarily know what the Hilliard is or the South Perry district is. And if all it says is South Perry district, then I wouldn't know.
It's not for me if I don't know it.
Well, but so you moved to town and you shouldn't support businesses that are local?
Oh, well, if you just moved to town, you need to figure out your
Is that not an ideal customer though? Like necessarily 15 minutes away. Like that's who we're missing, right? You're ones that know it right off the bat. That's great. But we're talking about the ones that don't know. Yeah. So put South Perry District, Spokane, Washington, Hilliard area, local Hilliard delivery, Spokane, Washington, whatever it is. I mean, those are just, I was trying to think of examples. It's really hard off the top of your head to think of examples of like, you know, region specific. But I found one of those the other day and it was in like freaking Kentucky or something. And I'm like, pfft.
Basically, what you need to do is make sure people can quantify whether or not they can support you right away as soon as they look at their Instagram.
Yeah, any social media. Okay, sorry. My rant is over on that. I was just really frustrated at 11:30 at night. And I'm not going to lie, I really wanted to go to that flower event. In my heart, buying those tickets to that flower event immediately meant that my mental health was going to like stratospherically rise and I was going to be ecstatically happy and cup filled. And I had like all of that was riding on this single ticket purchase.
And instead you couldn't find it. And then you went for a spiral.
Then I went rage digging.
Yeah.
It's like, It's like doom scrolling, but
I feel like
researching.
I feel like that kind of rolls into number 2.
It absolutely does. So number 2, can you please, right now, not right now if you're driving, but right now otherwise, go make sure that people can figure out where to buy whatever it is that you're selling super easily. It absolutely does roll into number 2. If you're selling something socially anywhere, really, please make sure that where to buy that is clear to your customer, aka your audience, your social media followers.
Confusion in any way absolutely kills your conversion. So it needs to be, it doesn't matter how many times you think you've told people. It doesn't matter how many places you think it is. Chances are it isn't there enough. I, for example, do delivery, and I have had people who have followed me on Instagram for years, and people who interact with my content, people who are the people who always leave a comment on my reels and see all of this. And I was redoing my highlights on my Instagram, and I did something about my delivery location. And one of the women was like, I didn't know you deliver in my area. I talk about it all the time, but I guess I didn't talk about it enough, and I felt like it was everywhere. So I went back and I said, okay, like where else can I add this to make sure that it's really, really super clear and that it's easy for people to find no matter how they're getting to me for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sponsoring a post that's going to show up and you're selling something, make sure the link is on the sponsored post on the ad. Or if you're directing people like me, market tickets are for sale, link better be in my bio. I'm really hoping it is. It is. You can click on my Start Here page and it takes you right to it. But those are the things where, yes, you will still get people that ask you because they genuinely just didn't even look, yeah. Which is a different story altogether. That goes into the reading comprehension level of adults with the attention span of a gnat, which is a whole nother podcast episode. But really what it is when someone is actively looking for it, that they can find it in the least amount of clicks possible. So it's not good enough if they see something on Instagram, then they have to get off Instagram, go to Google your name, find your website, go to, like, they need to tap right through so you don't lose them.
And I even found it made a big difference for me when I changed my homepage on my website to be as clear as how to buy from us. And I have a little icon of a farm store and it says shop in person at our farm store. And I've got a little delivery box and it says order online for home delivery. And you can click on both of those icons and it takes you, when you click on the farm store one, it takes you to a page that has the address and the store hours and all of that. Click the other, it takes you to the online store. And it is as clear as day on our homepage because that had a lot of the confusion for people about whether or not we were just home delivery or we were just a store.
And I will say, I think that that's like a sliding scale of business experience. Like when you're getting into the clickable buttons on the home page with it, like that is an experienced business owner that's really gotten sick of people asking questions. But for even just the very beginning, like I have one product or I'm doing one thing, I'm providing one service, ensuring that they can get to wherever that is to support you quickly is the first step. At least making sure it's linked, at least making sure that you've got it front and center, that you're referring people back to the one spot. You don't want to miss out on sales. I don't want to say no to money.
Yeah. And I mean, it can even be something, even if you don't have a website at this point, which we do have a podcast episode previously about owning your online presence that talks about that. So go back to that episode. We'll link it in the show notes. But even if you're not at that stage yet, having pinned posts on your Instagram that talks about maybe it's your market schedule, your upcoming pop-up schedule of where you're going to be selling over the summer season. And that is pinned as one of your first posts so that you can direct people back there so that they see it. Make sure it's obvious what it is. Maybe a text overlay over a photo so that people know that's what it is. And it's not just a pretty picture where, you know, they're not going to click over unless they know what it's about.
Yeah, this is not one of those times to worry about your cohesive feed view. When you have information that you want people to reference back to time and time again, put a very obvious, bold, whether it's a reel that has a cover photo that's that way, or if it's a carousel slide that has it on the first slide of it, whatever, that's going to be very bold and easy. So when someone taps over to your profile, they can see right there in your top 3 pinned posts, like upcoming market schedule, tap, and they can figure it out. It doesn't really go into number 3. It kind of goes into number 4. So I'm skipping. I'm making number 4 number 3 now. Just roll with me here.
Love it.
It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
It's my party. I will save you from me singing, you guys.
We've never karaoke'd together. No. Chalk that up on
There's
the
a reason.
list.
There's a reason.
I don't karaoke. Not at all. Okay. So we're making number 4. Number 3, when you're doing content in any way, shape, or form, especially on your website, we want you to go and audit your content, especially for seasonal stuff, stale things, last year's information, the old ticket link, the markets that are already gone and past and you're no longer there, to spend some time in your back end of your website going through everything and just making sure that that content is up to date and sending people in the right spot. And I will tell you, like, I'm totally guilty of this. Totally guilty of it.
I just found a sneaky one that I forgot about. I moved some cities for my delivery schedule. And on the order confirmation email, I forgot that I had those listed out because I was getting tired of people getting their order confirmation and then saying, like, I don't know when I'm getting my order. So I updated it so that it says, like, Tuesday we deliver to these locations, Wednesday. And then I moved a couple cities and I completely forgot that that was in the order confirmation because I changed it literally everywhere else. Changed the pin post, changed it on our website and our frequently asked questions. But you guys, there's so many little hidden spots, especially after you've been in business for 11 years now, that those kinds of things hide. So I just noticed it the other day and had to go change it.
Same thing. Found a link to Gather Oregon, which sent people to my dear friend's farm where we hosted Gather Oregon last year.
Yeah.
Last year. And the link was still up. And I just needed to take the 10 seconds to take it down and, or swap it out with a past gathers that we had done. But once you've been putting out that much information, it's really easy to just keep moving and keep focusing on what's coming up and adding what's new and what's new and what's new and forgetting what you put up 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So settle in, make sure it's quiet, dedicate some time, turn your phone to do not disturb, hyper focus, or I love this one. Find a really good type A, attention to detail friend. Tell them you will buy them dinner and appetizers if they will just click through and tell you all the things they see and then write them down in a notebook.
Yeah.
Because I can find it faster on anyone else's website than I can on my own because I've looked at it too many times.
Same.
You start
100%.
to look at it, your eyes glaze over, you just sort of shut down your mind's like, well, I know it should say this, so I'm going to just assume that's what it says. And you're like, no, we need to read very carefully. And you just sort of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was even when I rebuilt my website. I sent it to you, Jess, and you found all sorts of like spelling mistakes and grammar errors and like just little things that weren't like lined up. Get a friend to take a peek at it.
Get a friend. Get an even better, find like a non-business friend. Find like a not even in the industry friend, because you might be super shocked with what they tell you. Like they may get into your website and just be like, this makes, different brains work different ways. And having someone that's not in the industry, hasn't gone through your processes before to come in and check all that stuff. Just take the feedback and say thank you and write it down.
And also that I know we're kind of like going a little bit off of just old content, but to jump on that, one thing that I really, really like to do when it comes to going through content and websites and things like that is picking somebody who's in the ideal age range of your ideal customer. So if you tend to be young and your ideal customer, like with meat production, I started the farm at 27. Most 27-year-olds were not buying from my farm. It ended up being people who were in their like 50s and 60s and even 70s that were buying from me. So what I thought was super tech savvy and easy to navigate is maybe not for a different generation. So keep that in mind too if you are selling to a demographic that's not yours.
That just made me absolutely think of like event planners who are seasoned pros. They've been around and in the industry for 20 years, but your ideal customer is a young bride. She may, that whole generation may have thoughts on your web presence, on your content, on your processes, I mean, hearing from someone, "Oh, just fill out this form and drop it in the mail," to me is like a foreign concept. Like, no, no, no. We have online forms and we click send. We
Yeah.
don't find postage stamps. But the reverse can be true, just like you with the older generation, that it can be an older generation to a younger one.
Yeah, 100%. So make sure that
Wild.
you're double checking your processes against the ideal customer that you would want to serve, and make sure that I actually had a customer who sent me a message, and she was so lovely, and she asked first. She was like, "Do you mind if, like, are you open to feedback from somebody?" And I was like, "Yes, I am open to feedback, but thank you so much for not just giving me, you know, just
And at least
sliding."
gave you that brief
Yes.
moment to, like,
Yes.
check yourself and be like, "I can't say no. I can't say no in
No.
this moment that I'm not open to feedback, so recognize whatever's coming is said
Yes.
from a place of love."
It was just so great. And then she came back and she gave me incredible feedback on my website, things that made it easier for her to understand, because she was like a brand new customer. And she was like, "I just noticed that these things were kind of hard." Anyways, fast forward, I made some changes. I sent it back to her and I was like, "Do you mind taking a peek again?" And she was
Aw.
like, "No problem." She went and she like did another audit and sent me so much feedback. And she was like, "That is so much easier." And it was just that thing that if you're not open and willing to hear the feedback, then, you can miss some great opportunities.
Okay. We're buzzing right through. So now we're on number 3, now number 4, which is we're halfway through the year. And I don't even know why I'm introducing this one. It should have been you all along because this is your jam. Like, don't get me wrong, I love numbers, but I love numbers in the hypothetical, in the like projection realm of things.
Yeah,
I don't really love like real numbers. And you are a huge fan of the metrics.
I am. I am a huge fan. I think that it's important. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't have any idea how to deal with the numbers. I didn't have any idea what to do with the numbers. I didn't have any of that. Our farm grew really fast and our business grew really fast. And we could have been in a position where we lost the business, where I could have gone out of business if it wasn't for the fact that I got myself figured out on how to make sure that I understood the numbers. And it's not something that comes natural to me at all. I have ADHD brain. I don't love having to sit down and look at spreadsheets and do all of that, which is part of the reason that when we got to as big as we are now, I outsourced those roles. Like, we have a third-party bookkeeper. We have our bookkeeping company is also our financial controller, and we have an accountant. So she makes that data something that I can tangibly like look at and understand. And when I had my first meeting with her, she said to me, she said, "Most business owners do not understand their numbers, and they think they understand their numbers, but they don't actually know what to like. They know the number, but they don't know what it means, or they don't know how to do something with that data." So if that is where you're at in your business, please know you're not alone in that. That's a very common, but just sitting down and even looking at things like, where are your sales this year compared to this time last year? Where are they in comparison to what you hope to have if you were doing goal setting, which I hope everybody sets goals for themselves, a financial goal for themselves in whatever that looks like. It could be $10,000 in a year. It doesn't have to be something, it should be a little bit of a stretch to get to, but it doesn't have to be huge and relative to your business. But sitting down and actually taking a look at some of those data pieces at the halfway point, because if you wait until the end of the year to start looking at it, there's no course correction. There's nothing you can do differently at that point.
No, there's either good news or bad news, and you're stuck with whichever
Yeah.
way that falls if you look at it in December. Even worse yet would be not looking at it at all. And if you're in
Yes.
that boat, if you have just shoved your head down so far in the sand that you're not even looking at your numbers, please don't. Please
Yes.
get some help. Please rip the Band-Aid off. Take the time to look at it and figure it out. Because the worst case scenario is if you're in business and your head is down so hard you're looking at the numbers, what's the absolute worst thing that can happen? Your business closes.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's as bad as it gets. And if it's that bad, then wouldn't you rather know now than keep throwing good money after bad money?
Yes. I couldn't agree more. And I think that there's a lot of, part of the reason we did our price increase recently was because of those data points. Like, we had that conversation. We looked at the numbers and we were like, if we want to keep doing what we're doing, and if we want to have the expansion that we want to have and the growth that we want to have, we have to have the revenue that supports that, and being able to make those decisions is a big deal. But I also know what it feels like to actually have no idea in those early years, where it was like animals need to be fed, things need to be done. You can avoid that with all the other things that need to happen in your business, but it will never disappear. So I am a huge fan of outsourcing that. If you have the ability to, outsourcing that actually has saved our business money in the long run by a long shot. Like, we save money because we've outsourced that. So if it's something that you're able to look at, and don't feel embarrassed if you're in like a spot where you have no idea, or don't feel embarrassed if you are not organized in that way, because we do not, it's this weird concept that as small business owners, we feel like we should all have that skill set, and we don't. That's not naturally the skill set of a lot of small business owners.
I think there's just some shame, guilt.
Yes, for sure.
What is it around it when you're like, but I feel like a lot of the women I know that create businesses, they create it because they are the creator.
Yes.
They are the one building the thing. They're the one
visionary.
They're in that nature. It's not in your nature a lot of times, if that's your personality, is that creative personality, to dial in spreadsheets and numbers and project. Like, those typically don't go hand in hand.
No, and a lot of times I find that in family farms and in agriculture, it ends up being because you're a woman that you end up in that position.
The numbers.
Yes. You end up the bookkeeper because you're the female of the operation. And it's just like, you end up being the one that's organizing the paperwork and trying to keep track of the expenses. And even if you're outsourcing it, there still is a significant amount of paperwork and things like that. Jay actually was sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in now in my office on Saturday. And I was doing that spreadsheet work, and I was sorting out receipts that needed to go to the bookkeeper. And I was asking him some questions about some of them, and he never sits there while I do that job. And he was asking me questions, and I was like, yeah, every time you guys don't provide this to me fast enough, I've got to, like, I was kind of showing him what that path looked like. And he said to me, he's like, I'm really sorry that we don't do a better job of that, because I can see now how much harder that makes your job. I was like, all I needed to do is get you to sit here for the afternoon. And so today it was like a totally different, it was like my paperwork was on my desk when I needed it. It was much more organized, but I just don't think he realized that piece of it. And he didn't realize how important it was.
Do you think that's part of the why that people struggle with? Really, like, if I don't know why you're asking me to do something, I tend to get frustrated really quickly. Or if you don't explain to me why it needs to be done a certain way. But I think we, as like small business owners, we just get going so quick, and it's like, I don't necessarily have time to stop and tell you why on everything. Just do it because I told you to do it.
Yes.
But then there's likely those times where I need to check myself and truly explain, like, why am I telling you to do it this way? And if he had known, I mean, Jay's so considerate. I do feel like if he had the experience of seeing you struggle through that earlier, he would course correct.
And I think too, because, and that is on me as well, that Jay asked me, like, what are you working on today? And I'm like, oh, just a bunch of stuff. Because it's like, to me, I feel like it's so many small little tasks that for him, he's like, oh, I'm breaking down beef. And that like will take hours. And so that is the thing he's working on. He can sum up what he's doing in a day with 3, little things. And I'm like, first I got to go do this, like, death by a million 15-minute jobs. And so I don't explain it because it feels like a waste of time to like get into the weeds of it. And I maybe need to do that a little bit more, where he actually sees what it is that I need to do, because then he can support that effort easier, or at least have a better understanding of it.
Well, and we've had such good segues today, such good unplanned segues, because this talks, when we looked it up, I Googled this to make sure that I had the correct title of it, because we've all heard the 80-20 rule, probably, if you've been in business at all. It is called the Pareto principle. I even Googled how to pronounce that properly. Just wanted you to know the effort that we were putting into delivering good product to you. But it is essentially the 80-20 rule, that the smallest portion of your efforts is going to create the biggest portion of your results. So 20% of your time is creating 80% of your results.
Yeah.
And as we look at the halfway point of the year, starting month 7, going into 2025, going into the end of 2025, is what is happening with your time and your calendar and the amount of effort and energy that you're putting into things that are either producing results or are not producing results?
I audit a time calendar like nobody's business. That was one of the things I talked about at Gather,
Mm-hmm.
was going and doing a content audit or a calendar audit, sorry. I do that every year. In December at the end of the year, I go back and I look at all the ways I spent my time. Like, I make a day out of it. Get yourself like something fun to drink and some snacks, make a little charcuterie board, whatever, sit wherever feels good and go through your calendar and look at the things. What are the things I said yes to that absolutely drained me? What did I agree to that I shouldn't have? What moved the needle and what didn't? So that I can be a lot more aware of my time the following year. You can do that this time of year too. You can take a look at what it is that you did in the first 6 months that just isn't working. And I think that's the thing, that being able to say no to things and cut things from my schedule is, I think, the reason that we've been able to, have the growth we've had.
See, and I don't make a day of it. I swear I do it after, basically at the end of every day. So my husband and I will talk and I'll be like, that was a waste of time. Don't let me put that on the calendar again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still happening. It's just pretty quick after. Or if I go do an activity or it's something new, or I go to an event or something and it's just an absolute time suck, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Note to myself, not doing that again. So I don't do like the official day. I've never taken out, when quite frankly, I don't even know how I would, because it's all on my phone, my calendar. Do you print it out? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do like a little bit of everything. I kind of glance back through social. I kind of take a peek through my calendar. I kind of look at what, I think for you, it might be different because you do like large events. Like, your revenue comes from a big execution, where mine's just consistent. So I have to give myself enough time to figure out if something's working or not.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Like, I've got, if I launch something new, I've got to have it launched for 6 months or whatever before I can decide like, hey, that's working or not working. Hey, prepared foods does or doesn't work, or we need to edit this. Like, I can't just because it doesn't sell on day one doesn't mean it's not successful for us. So I need to kind of go back and look at things and say, is this moving the needle for our business? Is this wasting my time? I also sometimes, with having staff, Jay and I will start like raw dog food. We were the ones that did it at the beginning till we could get it dialed. So we had a good understanding of how long it takes to do it. And then, now we have staff that do it. Can they do it as fast as us? Usually not, but that's usually how it is when, you're the business owner and you're making the money on how fast it goes. But then we can kind of get that balanced in and decide, like, is this worth our time to do dog food because it's taking our staff this much time and this is what we're getting back? And those kinds of things I'll go and dig into. And also, like, speaking engagements for me and things like that, like, it is in the end, the time off the farm worth it. And I go through and I look at that every year.
I think it's just a good gut check too, because we all probably started out New Year's with these resolutions. I'm going to guess. I know I am not doing hardly any of my New Year's resolutions. So what's your intention for the rest of the year? Like, setting truly, how do you want to end 2025, which it feels so early to be saying that, but where do you want to be at when you end 2025? And it's not too late to refocus in on that. And I just think it's a good time of year to do it. Okay, so we're on to our last one, which is take a quick peek back through. Okay, caveat. Take a quick peek back through your socials if that is how you primarily market your product or services. I think that's most of everyone that I know. It's how I primarily market. I mean, I do some other channels now, but if you asked me where the majority of my sales come, it comes from social media. And if that's the case, then I want you to look back through your social media and I want you to find how long it's been since you last promoted whatever it is that you're selling or product event. When's the last time you sold? How long has it been on your social media? And I want you to know that and see it. And here's why. I've been creating content, not as much lately, not every single day, which is normally what I hold myself to, is a piece of content a day. And I have not been at that level. But I looked back through and all of a sudden it hit me. I had not talked about Market in the Mountains in main feed content. So if someone tapped over to my profile, found me from wherever, I had not talked about Market in the Mountains in more than 9 posts on my feed. It's easy to do because I have a lot of things to talk about. We have like the Geodome and we had the AI workhorse and we had Market in the Mountains and et cetera, et cetera. But also it reminded me that maybe I need to not make so much content, like funny, haha videos of CJ that go viral content right now. We just did that last month. We had great results from that last month. But people that are coming to my page need to see Market in the Mountains content that is coming up. It's our biggest event of the year. And I need to be talking about that. And it's so easy to just think, oh, I talk about it all the time. I do all these things. But when's the last time you've actually put it on your social media?
I used to be really bad at that when I was younger in business. And I mean, you talk about your stuff, you promote your stuff. So that's just an oddity. But I used to be really bad with that. I would talk about the farm and the animals and the food and the meals and all of those things. And I found that I was like very rarely actually making the sales push. Now that I have changed my mindset around selling, because at the beginning, and I find this a lot with women, a lot of times we're like, we get weird about selling or we feel like it's aggressive or certain kind of way about that. I talk about what I sell all the freaking time. And I guess I have to, because I have to have a million small transactions in order to make a lot of money. I have to have a lot of individual transactions. So I cannot stop talking about it on social media. I don't always do it in my main feed. I mean, I do it in my main feed, but I like in Instagram stories every single day. I am talking about what's in stock. I'm posting links. I'm religious about sending a newsletter every week. Like you've got to be talking about what you sell.
See, and I don't mind Instagram stories for sales. Obviously, they're your warmest customers, right? They're the ones that are so engaged that they're actively watching your stories, not just seeing you on someone's explore page or something like that. But at the same time, stories expire in 24 hours. So you either have to talk about it every single day to make sure that you're not missing someone, which, come on, nobody's doing that. Even I'm not doing that. Or you miss out. And if on your main feed, the last 9 posts are like the blurry photo of the 4th of July fireworks and a cute video of your kids, you've lost them when they can't come back and find that information, even if you are talking about it. Now, your content, I feel like on Central Park Farms, even when it's not a hard sell, is like a brand, you know what I mean? Even if you're talking about recipes that use your product is mentioned in it, like it's there
all the time.
Right. And I think you get stronger.
I just did the math. I have to make 46 transactions a day.
Wow.
That's where we're at for sale. We have to do average 46 transactions a day. So I got to be talking about my stuff every day.
Yeah.
Because we are open 4 days a week for 4 hours. And
you get good though. You get good at like weaving it in a very natural way the more that you do it. But if you're not doing it at all, and then all of a sudden, so it's like picture of kid, picture of fireworks, boom, buy beef tomorrow.
Yes.
You also have like jarred your audience of, I thought I was following Jessica versus, this is Moose Valley Ranch that has luxury geodome stays and has this, and like that sort of knowledge behind what your brand is starts to slip, and you can actually just sort of like hit them upside the face with a telephone book of, oh my gosh, what's happening?
You also have to be very careful talking about that transition. You also have to be very careful as a meat producer with that transition that you're not like, I'm very good at making sure. But one time I accidentally shared in stories like the cutest piglets. And then the next morning I did bacon frying in the frying pan. And that was a brutal I had one of my chef friends message me. He's like, you might want to rethink that transition. I just hadn't thought of it. It just like went because it was the next day. So if you are a meat producer, do be cognizant of that storytelling arc or the order in which you put things, that if somebody's following, the next day and they see them all straight in a row, makes that sales pitch a little harder.
Yeah, and if you are selling something in your stories, please, please, please put something up in your main feed, because the other thing is people can't share your stories unless you tag them in it.
Yeah.
So if and I know I always go back to events because that's what I do primarily, but if you're going to talk about an event or something and posting it in your stories, put it in something that people can share. Because if they want to go, they're going to share it. They're going to share it with their friends. Okay, so we've given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to do today, this week in your business. 6 audits, essentially, for you to complete. Is your location in your bio? Can your customer find where to buy from you quickly, purchase that product? Have you edited your website for content? Made sure it's not stale or out of whack? Have you checked in with your metrics on your business? And have you calendar audited out kind of a time budget check of where your time is going? And then how long has it been since you last talked about something of a sale online? I feel like that list got more overwhelming the longer I was saying that.
That's why I told you I didn't want to be in charge of that part. I've only got your way. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, go to the show notes. We'll put a nice little list there of those things really quickly so you've kind of got it. But take an hour or two this week. I mean, really, that's not okay. Maybe the metrics are a little long, but otherwise we're talking 5-10 minutes for at least 4 of the tasks on that list that you'll be able to knock out. And you're going to be super surprised. I bet at the end of it, you'll feel better. You'll kind of have like ripped the Band-Aid off for sense.
100%.
So and next time on the workforce,
if you're hiding from your matrix, no, I got to. If you're hiding from your matrix, please don't. Please go and look at the data. I need to drive that home. Don't be scared of the data and the numbers in your business. That's the thing that makes sure you're still around.
That's the important part. I mean, that's what makes your business last is whether you're making money or not. Because if you're not making money, you just have a really, really expensive hobby.
And if that's what you're going for, that's awesome. But most of the people listening to this podcast, I imagine, are wanting a financially sustainable business for their family. So don't be scared of your numbers, no matter what they look at. That knowledge gives you power.
With that, thank you for listening into the podcast. I hope today was helpful with you and your business goals, and we will see you next time.
If you're listening to this episode and thinking, I need more of this, you're not alone. That's exactly why we're building a growing lineup of courses designed specifically for business women like you who are ready to level up. Whether you're craving practical strategies or systems that actually work for your lifestyle, we've got you covered. Tap the link in the show notes to get early access, bonus resources, and first dibs when new programs drop, because you shouldn't have to build your business alone.